ça va? How's it going? Today I'm making my craziest dress ever. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jane. I like to sew with secondhand materials. Whenever I say that phrase, secondhand materials, I really just think about what I find at the thrift store. I usually end up sewing clothes out of other clothes, tablecloths, bed sheets, curtains. There's one section in the thrift store that I often overlook, and that is the denim section. And it's kind of crazy that I overlook it because it takes up a massive amount of each and every thrift store that I personally have been to. And there is a reason for that. Between 2 and 5 billion pairs of jeans are produced annually. If you calculate how many jeans are produced daily, that leads to a number ranging between 3 and 16 million pairs of jeans every single day. And a lot of those jeans are not timeless. They're not items that people are going to want to own forever. Personally, don't think that the 2010s jeggings are ever going to come back the way that they were in the 2010s, but I guess that's a personal opinion. Anyway, the thrift store is overloaded with denim, and today I'm going to be working with some of it to create a crazy dress. This is just a small fraction of the denim that I currently own because I was actually given about 50 pairs of jeans from Goodwill due to an event being held at my university for the Denim Day, which is a day that I encourage you to look up. I have a lot of denim left over from that event, and I've been struggling to find ways to use it. So I think I've come up with a pretty cool design. Let me tell you about it. The way this dress came to be is a bit convoluted and messy, but I'm gonna try my best to explain my thought process behind designing my crazy denim zipper dress. For a couple years now, I've had this book called Pattern Making for Fashion Design. It is widely regarded as a book good to have if you wanna learn how to draft your own patterns and if you wanna learn how to make your own clothes. And I fell upon the inverted box pleat page. And I've been wanting to try out more kinds of pleating for a long time. So I decided to try to put these pleats into a dress in the seams rather than just doing a skirt with the box pleats built into the skirt. I then realized that it would be super cool if I had some kind of chevron stripe pointing inwards towards the center seam and pointing outwards towards the side seams. And then I realized that I could use zippers to do these chevron stripes. All of the zippers from all of the flies of all of my pairs of jeans. I also knew that I wanted this dress to have short sleeves with some kind of chevron stripe on the sleeves and a very high neck and a mildly high back. This feels kind of like a superhero uniform to me upon designing it. Maybe it's like the W in Wonder Woman that's causing that reference to form in my head. But anyway, I think it's cool. We'll see if it can actually be done. Oh wait, I forgot to mention the most important part. I realized once I put in inverted box pleats that I wanted to add zippers into the pleats. I think that this has been done before. I've looked it up online and there are definitely some funky things that have zippers in places that aren't meant to be. And some of these zippers are functional and some of them are not. I want my zippers on the pleats to be totally functional. Essentially, you can zip the dress tighter if you like, or you can zip it up looser. I think that this is also going to end up looking a little bit like the dress that Amanda Seyfried wears in Mamma Mia at the very end of the film. I ended up with this sketch and this painting of the dress, and I think that I'm ready to start drafting a pattern. This is my new rolly chair setup, so I can go from here right over here without standing up, which means I get to wear my repettos because I have concrete floor and it's not good to stand on concrete floor all day. It's hard on your hips and knees and any other joint. Ankles, I suppose. I wear tennis shoes if I'm gonna be standing, but with my new rolly chair, I can wear my beloved repettos, which are totally falling apart. I love these shoes. I got them for $30 on Vinted whenever I lived in France. And unfortunately, there's no Vinted in the United States. And also a lot of the repettos that you see on like eBay and stuff are not real, because I ordered some one time and I fell for it. It was a scam. I will be totally honest. I've had the post-wedding blues. I've been struggling with finding inspiration, and I've also been struggling with creating my own schedule and feeling like, well, not feeling productive. I feel productive. I work most days, every day. It's just strange not going back to school while most of my friends still have a bit of school left. I'm not complaining. It's kind of nice, but it is a little bit odd. What even is this, bro? Look at that. I feel like a beauty guru, except I'm showing you a really f***ed up zipper right now. It's so hard to get these out of here, and I could just go buy zippers, but that's not very sustainable because I'm just taking them apart to use as trim in a dress. Look, success. So then once I have this taken out, I pull the zipper head off and then I just rip it apart. And at the end, there is a little piece that holds the two together. If you pull them fast enough, it'll just come right out and land on your floor somewhere, and you can just clean it up later. Anyway, these are each, I want to say 6 inches. I have a couple of 8-inch zippers. Now I'm gonna do that about 20 more times. What I've done so far for this dress is essentially create the pattern, perfect the fit of the pattern, and cut out a few of the pattern pieces out of my denim. The pattern pieces that I started out with were actually fairly simple. I just added in the pleats essentially, and I used the instructions from my pattern making book for this. It worked out perfectly. Shocking that if you follow somebody else's instructions, it tends to work. Cut them into basically stripes because I'm inserting the zippers into the seams. There's like, I'm pulling the zippers apart and inserting them into the seams. So I had to cut seams and add seam allowance for so many pattern pieces. I'm still working on the pattern actually, so I'll show you a bit of what I'm doing in live time. But I think I have 29 pieces so far because I have 14 for each of the pieces, like the bodice inner, bodice outer, and then the pleat. And then I have not done the back yet. So we're at 29 pieces. So this is the pattern piece I made for the pleats that is pretty much non-altered. I'm going to copy this onto my wrapping paper, and then I'm going to draw my diagonal lines, and then I cut those out, put those on the wrapping paper, and then I add seam allowance, and then I cut it out. That's the steps for doing the pattern. Kind of complicated, but it works for me. I also have this piece designed so that there's a tie at the top of the back. That's like the back closure. But I think I'm going to take that out just because I don't know how I could make zippers work for that. And I'm going to just do a regular like scoop back, if that makes sense. My slope is 2/3. So I'm just marking that at even increments. I marked a few spots on the sides where the seam should intercept based on my pattern for the front outer piece. So that's what I'm up to. All of our stripes are marked, so now I just label these. I'm gonna do BO for back outer. So BO1, BO2, BO3, BO11, BO12, BO13, BO14, BO. I'm gonna draw a little diagram just so I know where they're all constructed together because it can get a bit confusing. Now that I have this drawn, I'm going to go through and put little plus signs where I need to add seam allowance because I need to add seam allowance at any of the new seams I'm creating. Here, 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 here. Now I know where to add seam allowance on my new pattern for all of the seams that I'm throwing in. Obviously the pleat starts here and starts here, so I only add seam allowance on this side of the 7th pattern piece. You could actually just cut these out and use these as your pattern pieces, but you'd have to remember to add seam allowance when you cut your fabric. And that is just a recipe for disaster for myself. I will never remember. I'll cut out every single pattern piece and not add seam allowance. So I just have to make new pattern pieces. I've tried saving myself a little bit of time in this step, but in the end, it is never worth it. The untouched pattern piece is going in an envelope so that I can create dresses that don't have all the funky, crazy chevron stuff going on. Where's the little brother when you need one? I have two of them, and neither one of them is with me to help me do this. Behold the fruits of my labor. Just counted, and yesterday I cut out 36 zippers because I have 36 of the little zipper heads. It's also interesting because I'm sure they make these in bulk. Well, obviously they make these in bulk in factories, and I'm sure you can just buy the little zipper heads, but something about collecting them yourself feels very special and rewarding. Something about just like collecting items has always been very amusing, but you can't just go buy them. You have to collect them. You have to find them. You have to work for them. That's what makes it enjoyable. Anyway, let's chat about the design of the dress and actually get started working on it. Today, I am doing the front outer pieces. So I have already cut these out. There are 14, but I'm making some executive design changes. So this is what I have of the dress so far. I have some pleats in there. The pleats really need to be ironed. I don't love the purple. I think the purple is kind of boring, oddly enough, but it also makes the look, like makes the piece a little bit more juvenile. So I'm debating between just taking it out and doing denim for the inside of the pleat, or doing a different color for each of the pleats, like red, blue, keep that one purple. Anyway, I have decided that I need to make the pleats zippable, so I ordered 9 14-inch zippers. These are all too short. I did look through like my stash to see if I had any, because I know I'm supposed to be reusing stuff, but I ordered 14-inch zippers because that's how long the pleat is. So essentially the bottom of the zipper will go at the top, so you can unzip it or zip it. I think that that's gonna be super cool. So my only thing is I'm still deciding on the color of the inside of the pleat. I really just follow my little diagram to align these. They're obviously all in order. My longest zipper is not long enough for these pieces. It's long enough for those. Piece them together. Yeah, that'll work, yeah. Moment of truth. Do they line up? Pretty close. I'm having such a hard time deciding what color to make the inside of these inverted box pleats. I think I'm just going to go with typical denim. I'm going to rip out what I've done, and I need to wait until tomorrow when my zippers arrive, so I can't put the pleats together yet. Essentially, I'm just kind of at a standstill until I get my 14-inch zippers, but that's okay. I can go ahead and construct the back pattern pieces. Actually, I'm just gonna hold off on the pleats until tomorrow. Let me construct the back pattern pieces. My zippers have arrived. This is like 10 pounds worth of zippers. So excited. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. For comparison, this is about to get complicated. I have to put the zippers into my pleats. So I'm going to assemble the sides of the pleats onto the pleats and then figure it out once that's done, because right now I don't think I have a clear understanding of what I'm doing, but that's okay. Never stopped me before. Literally, what is going on back here? Can you guys see that? Okay, if you ignore the fact that it's not actually put together, that's pretty sick. It's a zipper and it works. Amazing. No, but it's a functional zip up pleat. So you could have it a little bit pleated or a lot. It needs some work, okay? It needs some work. Actually so excited to see some progress here. Things are looking up, guys. Okay, it's been a couple days. I've been slowly working on my dress. It's kind of pinned together, certain pieces are sewn together, but I've had a couple of realizations and things that I've decided to do differently. First of all, I really want to top stitch these seams down. I've tried to top stitch the center seam down, but the zipper situation's really confusing with the pleat. It's just like you cannot top stitch a certain side of that top part of the zippered pleat. So I'm going to have to top stitch everything before I put the zipper in, basically, and then put the zipper in. I'll explain in a little bit because I have an idea for this. I also want to take apart each of the pieces and add more thread, more colored thread in chevron stripes which match the zippers. I just think it would look cool, and I want to make this like super snazzy, like the most fun dress I've ever made. I also messed up the zipper on one of the pleats, so I basically just need to take everything apart and start over, but I have a much clearer idea of what I'm doing. The seams do match up very nicely though, I've gotta say. Since I'm taking it apart, I have to be very careful where I put the pleats because they're specific to each place that they go. So this is front center, front left, front right. I'm just gonna pin some sticky notes on there, and then I should be able to keep track of everything. I'm thinking some blue, green, yellow. Already looking so much more colorful and a little bit funkier, which is what I wanted. Like some subtle stripes, you know, not as out there as the zipper, but still just a bit more interesting. I finished sewing my thread stripes on these pieces. Progress is being made. Obviously, it's not really wearable yet, but it's cool. It's becoming cool. I like it. It feels like if I was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I could wear this and be like the kind of quirky, crafty member of the club. They probably don't need somebody like that, but I could be the seamstress on board whatever Peter Quill's spaceship is. Picture me there. I'm gonna get back to my pleats. So the chevron stripes are matching up pretty well. Not perfectly, but decently, which is very exciting. Sometimes this table, I love this table, but it gets in the way of me standing right in front of the window while I'm talking to a camera. Last night, I broke like 10 needles. I'm not even kidding. I have one needle left that's currently on my machine. I also don't know if you can only use Singer like brand needles with a Singer machine. I'm gonna look that up in a minute because I have a whole bunch of sewing machine needles that somebody gifted me, but I don't know what brand they are. So maybe I can use those, I don't know. I broke a million needles and I gave up, but this is where the dress is at. Essentially, I just have one pleat left to sew and it's pinned together right now. And then I'm going to have a whole lot of cleanup work. And I also need to do some sleeves because it's super cute, but it definitely needs some short little cap sleeves to give it just a little bit more of a funky, girly vibe. We have some issues. It is too long. I finally gotten it kind of snug. It's not like tight, but I think I like it like this. However, it's just too long, especially in the back. And I could take it all apart and redo the zippers and redo the pleats. Or I'm trying to think if there's a way to like add in, like cut it apart basically and shorten it. But if I pull this up to here, that is so much cuter. But essentially I need to take out 2 inches at the waist, which is really unfortunate because there's not a waist seam. The problems that arise when you sew. Do I take apart the whole dress and start over, or do I attempt to solve it? You know what? I actually think it's kind of cute with the waist seam. Like that is the vibe I really wanted for this dress. So I'm going to cut it Fingers crossed this goes okay. And then I'm going to add in a waist panel of zippers that are vertical like that. And then I'm going to attach the top to that. And it's gonna be a lot snugger and it's gonna fit a lot better. This is one of the weirdest outfits I've ever worn. I think it's very helpful. Look at that, that's cool. We have ourselves a belt in my little corset top, which used to be a dress, but now it's not. Belt is just a bunch of vertical zippers and I broke 3 needles doing this belt alone. And now I have to top stitch it, sew it onto the skirt. Well, I have to fix the skirt, top stitch the belt, and then sew it onto the skirt and then top stitch that. Overall, I feel like I'm about to break a lot more needles, but that's okay. I took apart the skirt, so now all of my hard work has become this pile of fabric. It's okay. I think I need a break from this project. I'm gonna go for a drive, maybe go to the gym. Maybe I will be done for today. Can't believe this dress is taking so long. But I did just say I wanted to create something complicated. So I guess I got what I wished for. Okay, my new method for sewing this dress together is so much better because this is one of my pleats. Number one, the zipper is slightly longer than the pleats. Oh, the car is just blinding me. The zipper is a little bit longer than the pleats because I've shortened it just a tiny bit. I've also made it a lot narrower. So I can unzip the zipper all the way, pretty much. One second. It really helps having a detachable zipper for this project. Now I can top stitch each side of this and then zip it back together and then trim the zipper down and sew a new ending on it. You can't sew a new beginning on a zipper, but you can sew a new ending. To my knowledge, maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, I've never done it the other way. And then I can have top stitch pleats and these will all fit so much nicer on the shirt, on the bodice portion of the dress. And I've tested it out and it's much shorter. The shorter the better, I say. This is gonna be a very like flirty, edgy look. So I'm very pleased with how this is going. It's a little bit annoying having to sew all of this once again, but I think it's worth it. One of my least favorite parts of any project is cutting threads. It just feels so annoying to me and also so endless because I tend to save the cleaning up of my projects for the very end. But right now I'm just going through and sewing all these zippers shut at the end so that I don't rip them out, because at this point in the project I think I would cry if I had to redo one of these zippers. It would be all right, but I would be pretty upset. I have a skirt done. I have a skirt done. My biggest question right now is how do I hem this thing? Because of the inverted box pleats, it's just gonna be a little bit tricky. I'm gonna save that problem for later and attach this to the top of the dress. I think they're ready to be put together. And then I will deal with the lining thing and then I'll hem it. I'm just gonna turn this inside out and sew it on to here. I'm gonna break so many needles when I put these two together because there are so many zippers. Oh my god, it's a dress. It's almost a dress. Oh! It's really hard to sew over zippers. They don't want to hold the shape that I want them to hold. It's looking a little bit frumpy. I'm definitely gonna have to top stitch that waist down by hand. So for the sleeve, my initial design was just kind of a chevron pointing downwards at the middle seam of the sleeve, but I think I'm gonna add a little like cuff with vertical zippers to match my waistband. So this is my basic sleeve pattern. Before I cut into this, to make my cuff, I'm just gonna cut out the lining. And then I'll cut the lining with like half an inch shorter than the sleeve in denim, because that way that'll count for the seam that I'm gonna take out basically of the denim. I've got to say, these do not resemble sleeves at all. I'm sure they will once they're assembled, but right now, wouldn't guess it if I was like to see this without knowing what it was. I wouldn't guess a sleeve. I made a sleeve. There it is. It's still looking very much like a superhero suit, which is perfect for me, so now I'm gonna make the other one. And then I'm probably going to put them onto my dress. And then the dress is like almost done. I just have to figure out the lining and hem it. That's crazy. That's crazy. I like it. I tried on my dress and I didn't want to show the camera because I want to wait until it's absolutely done, but I'm going to take it apart one more time. I'm going to take apart the back seam because it's a bit too big. It's a few inches too big for me, and I'm really considering this a sample. Whenever I try something this new for the first time, it's never going to be of a quality that I would feel comfortable even giving it to somebody else. So it's a sample for myself, and it's just the first time I'm trying out a lot of these ideas, and I have a lot of notes. I'll save those for the end of this video. I'm going to take it apart because I want it to fit me perfectly. There's no point in making it. And like, yeah, I could just pin the back of it together for photos and whatnot, but I don't want to do that. I want to wear it. So I'm going to take the zipper out of the back, and I'm going to take the zipper out of the back pleat. I'm going to get rid of the back pleat because I'm going to put in buttons. It essentially just needs to be a bit more snug, and I'm also like, well, maybe I won't do buttons. Maybe I'll do a long zipper, but anyway, I'm going to make the back closure go all the way down because my hips don't fit in the dress. It's like really hard for me to get it on, and I can't make the zipper go any lower and then keep the zipper as part of the pleat. It's quite complicated, but I'm going to take all of the back out basically, fit it a little bit snugger, and then I can top stitch the lower part of the waistband, which I was needing to do, but I couldn't figure out how to get that under the machine. So now I have a way to get that under the machine. And then I realized for the under, like for the lining of the skirt, I'm gonna have to hem the denim part of the skirt on its own because the pleats are just really complicated. So I'm just gonna make a really simple A-line skirt that's a little bit shorter, which is basically not gonna be a skirt at all because this dress is super freaking short. And then we're good to go. This is the dress. It doesn't look very good. It's a bit frumpy at the waist, and also it just doesn't have much shape right now. I've got all my pleats zipped down just for convenience, but it's gonna look good once I fix that in the back. Lining is assembled, my dress is assembled. The lining is quite a bit shorter than the dress because I don't want it to show through, and its main purpose is just to protect my skin against the cold hard metal zippers, which are everywhere in this dress. But I am going to hem my dress with this amazing gold binding that I just found in my stash. I think the correct way to hem an inverted box pleat is to do it before you assemble the box pleat, but I didn't do that, and it's too confusing right now with the zippers. So part of this is probably going to show from the front of the dress if the pleats are unzipped and I've made my piece. I finished my hem and I sewed the lining into the dress. So it's looking a lot cleaner, but I just need to do the armholes. I'm gonna do red bias tape. And then I need to find a way to baste the top down in some way. I'm thinking gold beads, but we'll see. I really do believe I've broken my last sewing machine needle on this project. I did break 2 while I sewed this simple little piece of bias tape onto the cuff. This project has been insane. Such a palate cleanser in terms of like, I am ready to do anything now, as long as it's not hand cranking my machine while I sew a zipper on. I'm over it, but it's gonna be worth it. I'm like reaching the point of the project where I actually think it's cool again, and I'm not fed up with it. I mean, I'm pretty fed up with it, but it's becoming cool again. Yesterday, I finished my dress. I am so excited to be done with this dress, and I'm excited to show you. So here it is. I said that denim was not my friend, and we just are not compatible people. We're not compatible person fabric combination. I don't think that I've got the hang of denim yet. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't know. Maybe I'm like trying to do the wrong shapes with it. It's very confusing to me, but anyway, this is the dress. I added little beads at the top of it, little seed beads that are brass and gold and silver colored, because I think it adds to the charm of the outfit and makes it feel a little bit less like a Marvel costume. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It is also obviously very different from the dress that I designed in the very beginning. There's a waistband, the seams aren't quite the same, they're not perfectly lined up, and I would do this again and try to line them up, except I never want to sew with denim zippers like this again. I broke about 20 needles on this project. The pleats are totally functional. Like, you can zip them up and down as much as you want. I don't know for sure yet what's my favorite length of them being unzipped, and I don't know if it's weird to have like an asymmetrical vibe going on. This side's zipped, this side's unzipped. I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun to play around with it, and I think once I give myself a break from this project, for a break from looking at this dress, I will like it. One last thing, it's also very short. I didn't intend for it to be this short on me, but I think it's cute. It is what it is. So without further ado, let me show you the dress. Also even have beads on my cuff, which I think is so cute. And I need to cut some threads, obviously. This is business if it's zipped down. Serious things are happening. If it's zipped halfway, that's just like average. Like, this is how I would wear it. If it's all the way unzipped, party time. I would like to just say that I do consider this a prototype. This is a sample. This is not the final form of this chevron dress. Thank you so much for watching. I'm totally obsessed with sewing. I'm obsessed with creating funky garments. I'm obsessed with using secondhand materials. I'm obsessed with like finding new ways to create things. I'm obsessed with designer clothes and recreating them on a budget. I'm obsessed with it all. So if you want to see any more of me, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Jane's Dresses, and I hope you have a lovely day. Let me know what you're working on below.